podcast to, sink or swim. This podcast is going to happen tonight. It's going to happen tonight. So we're here on, again, 17th of September as we, head towards a very interesting time in regards to this world of sports. You got a lot going on, a lot on the horizon. Football is in full swing with the NFL and college. They have a huge weekend in college football this on Saturday. Some big time matchups, some classic matchups. Top 10, top 10 battle, top 7 battle. Notre Dame and Georgia. That's good. That should be a lot of fun. But yeah, plenty of time to talk about. That. We're going to begin with the NFL, and as always, we are broadcasting here on my YouTube channel live here. Check it out anytime. Real Deal Podcast. We'll be posting this also via Blog Talk Radio as well. So be on the lookout for that. In a couple hours or so. Normally, the podcast hit YouTube, 20, 15, 20, 30 minutes, 30 minutes at the most, 20, 15, 25 minutes after. Blog Talk Radio will take a little longer, a couple hours, but you will be able to find us regardless of, which platform you choose to check out the podcast. Again, I appreciate subscribers, all your views, all your support, agree, disagree. I'm glad to have you with me here on this Tuesday evening. We begin with the NFL and the sea change that is at the quarterback position. A lot going on in regards to injuries, benchings, and we're talking about basically a who's list of guys that you will not see starting quarterback in 2019, or you won't see for the foreseeable future. Drew Brees will be back in, they hope 6 weeks. But we'll begin with Eli Manning. Manning, of course, as expected, will be backing up, at least for now, Daniel Jones, number 1 pick for the Giants. No, the Giants' number 1 pick out of Duke, a guy who, had a pretty good preseason. Again, I don't put too much stock into that. Very controversial pick, to say the least, back in April with the draft. And it's his team now. It's Daniel Jones' team. They turned over the keys to him. It was only a matter of time before this happened. This makes a lot more sense by far than the last Eli Manning benching. When you benched him for a guy who we know, if anybody pay attention to the NFL, knew had no chance to be the future of the Giants or of any other franchise. Okay, so this one was going to happen. Eli Manning, I guess the question for Eli Manning is, where will he end up? There are some teams that look. You're Pittsburgh, give him a look. I mean, I'm not giving you will not have to give up a lot to get Eli Manning. Trust me. I round pick. Any decent general manager is not giving up more than a 3rd round pick to get Eli Manning at this stage of his career. I think if they've been told Eli has 1 year left on his contract. 2019, they'll be outright free agent. There's been talked about, the Giants probably, should go out there and just outright release him. I would. All it takes is one dummy. That's all it takes is one dummy who thinks that maybe Eli can be the difference between them and going to a Super Bowl with the talent around him. Or just somebody who just is trying to make a move just for the sake of making a move. Again, I wouldn't do it if I were the Giants. I mean, if I was a team, I wouldn't go after Eli myself. But again, all it takes is one team. So I expect Eli to be on the Giants for a couple of weeks. I don't think they'll release him myself. I think they will actually try to move him. Somebody will make a call. I just think this is one. Somebody will make a call, try to make a call, inquiring about him. But I don't think that they will outright release him. They don't have to. Remember, Eli Manning. This idea that Eli Manning is not going to be a distraction. He's class personified. He's not going to be a guy that he will do it. He's the type that'll do anything that will help out Daniel Jones. To be honest with you, that'd be kind of like as much of a mentor as he can be, without getting in the way. Eli Manning has been a class act, um, from day one since he started. Regardless of what you may think of him in terms of what happened on draft day, and not, with the Manning family not forcing his way out of San Diego and not getting drafted by San Diego, turned out to be the right move because they did win two Super Bowls in New York. So that turned out to be the right move. Regardless of what you think about, of that situation back in 2004. But Eli Manning will be fine as a Giant for the rest of the year in regards to, he's not going to get in the way of Daniel Jones. It's just not going to happen. He's just not that type of personality. He's not. He's going to take this like a man. He's going to take this like a pro. And Daniel, he'll do what he'll just sit back and keep it moving and be ready to play if Daniel Jones gets hurt. So if I'm the Giants, I just let the contract run out. Um, he's going to make what, close to $20 million. You're not going anywhere in 2019 anyway. The rebuilding process, has already begun with the Giants, and this is something that was going to happen. Um, I'm not going to get into the nonsense of debating whether or not Eli's a Hall of Fame. Anybody doesn't believe he's a Hall of Fame, then I just don't. Your opinion on football just doesn't matter to me. I'm not going to sit there like that. The guy is a two-time Super Bowl MVP, not one, but two-time Super Bowl MVP, and has been one of the most durable quarterbacks in NFL history. So he has the hardware. He has, again, durability, which, as we learned this weekend, is still, the most important thing that you can have at that position. I don't care how talented you are. You have to be on the field. So I'm not going to even entertain that debate or argument whether he's not. You can look at his postseason record. You can look at his durability. You can look at his two Super Bowl rings and his two MVP trophies, and the two times that he outplayed Tom Brady in both games. So, I mean, that speaks for itself. I think that the question for, in terms of Eli Manning, will he play again on another team? Does he want to play past 2019? I haven't heard him talk retirement. I haven't, again, he's getting up there. Came into, 2004 was a long time ago. He's a part of that fame. Now, I think probably the second greatest quarterback class of all time. And you can to be honest with you, in terms of accomplishments, you can make the case that the 2004 quarterback class is the greatest. I know 84 had more names, Marino, with the Marino, Jim Kelly, and they had a number of Marino, Jim Kelly, that vaunted class of '84. It was a ton of guys, but in terms of accomplishments, I mean, you have four Super Bowls between Roethlisberger and uh, and Eli Manning, and Philip Rivers is a Hall of Famer. Period. You can say what you want. Philip Rivers is going to the Hall of Fame. So that's three Hall of Fames, lock Hall of Famers right there. Three guys are definitely going to the Hall of Fame. I'm not. I think there's a legit argument between the class of '84, versus the class of 2004. I didn't think anybody would ever be able to touch that '84 class, but this class. I mean, again, the '84 class is deeper, probably deeper, but as far as accomplishments and as far as quality at the top, I might have to lean towards 2004. But regardless, the Giants have their quarterback, have a new quarterback in play, and that was just that was just basically a cap off what transpired on Sunday this weekend, and where the quarterback position is going moving forward in 2019. I mean, listen, you have guys who are on their way out. I mean, even guys who are still he's out 6 weeks. Roethlisberger's out the season. Brady's not getting any younger. Aaron Rodgers is not getting any younger. Philip Rivers is not getting any younger. All those teams are on contending teams. We'll see. We'll see about Green Bay, but we know that once San Diego gets healthy, they'll be a contender. New England is New England. But the bottom line is, you have a number of young quarterbacks who are now starting to take, I'm not going to say take command of the league, but who are now have to be paid attention to. Kyler Murray, Patrick Mahomes is the best player in the league right now to me. I just know I would, if I'm starting a team, I'm starting with Patrick Mahomes. Non-quarterbacks, I go with Aaron Donald. But, Mahomes, Deshaun Watson, Dak Prescott. We talked about again with Kyler Murray, Lamar Jackson. So it is a fresh crop. Now Daniel Jones is going to start. Haskins is next as far as who's going to start as far as that next guy, the next young quarterback to start for a bad team. Haskins, we want to be on Dwayne Haskins' watch for the next couple of weeks. He'll be, again, I'll predict sometimes early October. I would say first or second week of October. If you're Washington, you can't punt on the season after 2 games. You just, they have too many, couple of veteran players on that team who have a lot of pride. Kerrigan, Josh Norman. So you don't, even to a much lesser extent, Adrian Peterson, as he's just not getting respected. But that's a whole nother story. But they have too many guys. They have too many veteran players to actually to just outright punt on the season. So, but Haskins is going to play sooner than later. I'll give it 3 or 4 weeks at the most, maybe 3 weeks. But there's without question a sea change of new quarterbacks, and it's one of the reasons why coming into the season, in terms of both college and pro, I really was going to be focused in on these up and coming guys, not even in the pros yet, but these guys in college that are still in college, where it was Tua Tagovailoa, Trevor Lawrence, Jake Fromm, Herbert out of Oregon, just to name the guys at the top. The kid out of Texas A&M, people like him a lot. I got to see more about him. I'm not quite sure that he's on that. He's definitely not on that level. But Fromm, Tagovailoa, Trevor Lawrence, those guys are going to be top 5, top 10 picks. So, and again, those days of guys sitting and waiting, those days are done. Those days are over in NFL. NFL, you draft a guy to be drafted by a guy in the first round or even early second round for that matter. You're going to expect that he plays, and you're going to expect that he plays right away. Like you're not waiting for. You're not waiting anymore for those guys. You're going to expect that guy is playing right away. They want to get these guys in, so because the idea is the idea is that you, as we're on Facebook, okay, we're on Instagram Live. It was acting up for a couple minutes, so we're doing double duty. See, that's what happens when you get a fire alarm and it cuts one show off. You start getting ideas and thoughts, and you basically looking at 3 screens right now, or 2 screens, two and a half screens. But it's fine. Hello to my Instagram followers out there, and hope you enjoy your Tuesday. Of course, YouTube, we're always here all the time in terms of our podcast. But these teams are not waiting for these quarterbacks to develop. Like, to me, an ideal situation would be a guy, has a veteran guy ahead of him. He waits 2 years, and then, he learns by year 3, after some 2 years of grooming, he's ready to play. Those days are long gone. I mean, long gone. And again, these teams don't even care about the offensive lines anymore in regards to these guys. These guys coming in are taking a pounding. It's one of the reasons why Andrew Luck is currently retired. Retired. And if it continues like this, Deshaun Watson could be toward that headed toward that fate, as you know, he's going 8 straight games, getting sacked 4 times, which never should happen. Never should happen. I mean, they're not even that many good quality pass rushing teams in the league for that to happen. So that is just insane that he's been sacked that many times, and you're talking about a guy who is, without question, your franchise player, even more so than Justin Watt. Um, so you know, J.J. Watt. I say Justin, excuse me, J.J. Watt. Then J.J. Watt. So these guys are coming in right away. They're expected to play. It's sink or swim times. But for a lot of these younger players, um, and again, some of them we've seen. And you can add Baker Mayfield to that mix. There's some talent. There's a number of talented young quarterbacks out there right now. There really is. And I didn't include Jameis Winston in that mix because I think mentally Jameis Winston might be done. Like if Jameis Winston can't do anything with Bruce Arians, who's a offensive quarterback guru, then it's just not going to happen. It's just not. So I should have included him in that mix because he's still extremely young, still very young. But right now, like again in the NFL, you're seeing a not a complete, because Brady is still Brady, New England is still New England, but Patrick Mahomes wins the Super Bowl this year, which is very much possible with Kansas City, and the way the offense can score. You're gonna see almost a complete changing of the quarterback guard. It's happening as we speak right now. It's happening. So again, it's something to it's part of the NFL. It's part of the NFL. Um, you see a Drew Brees gets hurt. When you see a Breeze goes the way Breeze went down, and you see what happened with Roethlisberger. It should make you appreciate, if you're a Giant fan, it should make you appreciate Eli Manning that much more, because Eli Manning was never hurt. And again, I'm not knocking Breeze or Roethlisberger. If they get injured, it can happen at any time in the NFL, especially at that position. But you can't just dismiss the fact that Eli Manning is durability. I mean, the guy didn't miss a game due to injury. I don't believe he has missed a game due to injury. So that's an aspect that you can't dismiss at all. I mean, this guy, week in, week out, year in, year out, has been there to answer the bell. And again, it's almost impossible. I don't care how big, strong you are. I don't care how athletic you. Well, athleticism doesn't matter. It doesn't matter from that standpoint. Those guys get knocked around. RG3 and Michael Vick used to get knocked around all the time. Those guys, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter in terms of size or strength or athleticism. Chances are, you play that position, you're going to get hurt. It's just going to happen. And you can sit up here, Giant fans will sit up here and cry and bitch and moan about Eli Manning. Eli not this, Eli not that. Well, you know what? Before Eli came along, you hadn't won a Super Bowl what? Since 1990. Okay, since 1990, you had one of the most gratifying wins in NFL history. Maybe the most gratifying win in NFL history, in beating the Patriots 18-0 Patriots in 2007. That was as gratifying of an NFL win as there's ever been. It does not happen without Eli Manning. His playoff record speaks for itself. So they'll be picked. He won't be a Giant for long. He won't be a Giant. We know that he's not going to be a Giant past this year. They may release him. He could be traded. But if you're a Giant fan and you don't recognize this guy as a Hall of Fame player, you don't recognize him as one of the all-time great Giants, then you know what? You're just stupid. You're just dumb as a sports fan. You're just dumb. And again, you're going to see a lot of people in the next couple of days, the quote unquote talking heads go out their way to take shots at Eli Manning. Look at his regular season record. Look at his numbers. They're going to look at um, his recent history, which hasn't been good. But they're gonna if they're taking that angle, you're doing it. You are just missing the forest from the trees, and you're not. You have to look at the whole entire body of work with one Eli Manning. That was basically the theme for again week. It was a brutal week 2 for the quarterbacks. Especially some of the older guys. We're gonna go through the games now. It was a pretty good week 2 of games. We'll begin with some of the teams that I consider contenders. New England, New England's New England, 43-0 over Miami. Miami is one of the worst regular season. Miami might be one of the worst teams I've ever seen in the last 15 years. I like the year Detroit was 0-16 in '07. '08. I think '08 Detroit was 0-16. New England, Miami might actually be worse. But again, don't I'm not knocking Miami. If you're not competing for a championship, if you don't have a quarterback, this is really your only option. This is really your only option. I mean, tanking. They have multiple draft first round picks. Again, it's not the idea. It's not a culture that you want. We saw that sometimes it can go wrong. The Sixers had a number of first round draft picks, and it took the Sixers forever, seemingly. And they hit the lottery with Embiid and Simmons, but we'll see what comes about with that. But my thing about tanking is it's hard to disguise it, but it's hard. The NBC is one thing to do it in Major League Baseball or even the NBA, but in pro football, it's very difficult to sell tanking to guys who are playing or who are playing for their jobs, for coaches who are coaching for their jobs. So it's very hard to sell tanking in the NFL. But it's clear what's going on in Miami, and I'm not mad at them for it. Like Miami's not going anywhere. Like you think is Miami supposed to go out and get sign a bunch of decent overpay a bunch of free agent guys and with no quarterback? I mean, but it makes zero sense. So they go down to New England in a game. By the way, 43-0. New England didn't even play well. Like that was New England's C game. If New England really brought their A game, it could have been 70-0. Like New England, that game was actually it wasn't close, but that game New England had like 14 scored 2 late defensive touchdowns. That game, if New England would have had pedal to the metal, that game could have been worse. New England treated that game as a scrimmage, as a practice. That was like an intra squad, blue versus white type game for the Patriots. But Antonio Brown makes his debut, 4 catches, 56 yards, a touchdown. Again, I have not been overly impressed with Tom Brady this year. It's been underreported. People are not talking about it. There are people who actually think that there's been some whispers that New England could possibly go undefeated this year. It's not going to happen. The schedule's way too hard, and they have a 5-game stretch where they'll lose 2 games. They have 14-2, 13-3 written all of them. They'll be a top 2 seed, and they'll be legitimate Super Bowl contenders. They're not. This is not the 2007 Patriots. It's not. Like Tom Brady is not the same player he was in 2007. He's not. He was at a all-time. That was vintage peak Tom Brady. He's not peak Tom Brady anymore. He's very good, and I think right now, what you're seeing right now to me with New England is just Bill Belichick and his just complete mastery of general managing, coaching, psychology with that, and the culture. Like you're seeing Bill. This is vintage Bill Belichick right now. What you're seeing with that franchise. We lose Gronkowski, cool. Um, we lose the offensive lineman. Okay, we're good. Like Bill, this is Bill Belichick. And I think part of this wants, I think part of Belichick wants Brady to fall off just a smidge, not enough to where they can't win, but just enough to be like for Bill Belichick to not come out and say it, but to basically be able to kind of like flex his muscle, so to speak, without saying it, but just to give us just to say, hey, this last championship, this seventh ring, this was me. Or matter of fact, these last two rings, because that was that the MVP of that game in the Super Bowl was Bill Belichick. His game plan. We didn't need Sean McVay to tell us that he got outcoached by Belichick. We tens of millions of people could watch who watch the game. However, 85, 90 million people who actually watch the game know that Bill Belichick put on a coaching clinic against Sean McVay. Well, I like, by the way. I think McVay, great offensive mind. But Belichick, mean, if Belichick had his druthers, Garofalo would be his quarterback right now. But it might even end up working out even better for Belichick. If Brady has a year similar to say Peyton Manning did when Peyton Manning won his last Super Bowl. Now again, I don't think Brady has shown any signs of falling off the cliff. Like Manning in 2015, his last year, was a horrible player. He was bad. I mean, they won the Super Bowl in spite of Peyton Manning that year. To be honest, it was all about Von Miller. That defense was an all-time great defense for that year. That defense, the running game, Wade Phillips said like that was not Peyton Manning. But if Brady is 23 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, top 10, top 12 quarterback, not top 5 or nowhere near being all Pro Bowl caliber, that is Bill Belichick. That's a notch on the Bill Belichick belt, as he needs any more notches on his belt. But that I can see Belichick saying, okay, I wanted Garofalo, but you know what? You and Kraft and Tom Brady, okay, you're good. We'll see how this turns out. So they do what they do, 43-0. You also had what was supposed to be the game of the week, but turned out to be a dud because of Drew Brees' injury. The Rams doing what they absolutely should have had to do and should have did, and that's take out New Orleans 27-9. Again, the juice of this game, the air out was let out of this game as soon as Drew Brees got injured. Again, New Orleans catches another tough break, a bad break from the officials, but to me, it wouldn't have made a difference. The Rams were going to win that game. Now, again, this game was much bigger for the Rams. You have to take care of home field in season, especially with the head-to-head, and you have to take advantage of the fact that Drew Brees got hurt. Brees, of course, is going to be out with a thumb injury for 6 weeks. Looking at New Orleans' schedule, they're at Seattle, home to Dallas, Tampa Bay, at Jacksonville, at Chicago, home to Arizona. 3-3 is not out of the question. More than likely they'll be 2-4, but 3-3 is not out of the question. It's not. It really is. I was a Teddy Bridgewater fan. I think Bridgewater again. He wasn't good against the Rams. That is Aaron Donald. That is a excellent defensive line that the Rams have on the road. Tough spot. Not taking any reps for the most part in practice. So I gotta give him a pass on that. There's already been some whispers of Taysom Hill. Sean Payton likes Hill a lot. So we'll see. I wouldn't be surprised if Bridgewater got off to a slow start that you saw Taysom Hill, like say in the second half or maybe in the second quarter. Payton is not a guy that will hesitate in terms of making a move. But I feel like their best chance is by far to me Teddy Bridgewater. I've never been that big a fan of Hill from the pocket. And I think Bridgewater is clearly the better guy, the better pure passer from the pocket without question. He just has to get his sea legs under him, hasn't played in a while, get used to just getting hit again. But again, that's a devastating injury to say the least for New Orleans. Again, and Brees has, there were question marks about Brees during That's one of the reasons why San Diego. And listen, Rivers was eventually going to become the quarterback. But one of the reasons why there weren't a lot of teams after Breeze was that that shoulder, that rotator cuff, and he's been frankly one of the most durable quarterbacks ever since he got to New Orleans um, in '06. I mean, he has been and the guy. We're talking about a guy who's barely 6 foot. Not a big guy, not somebody who's physically, by any stretch of imagination, physically imposing like that. But he's never injured. He's never hurt, ever. There have been years where Breeze has taken a beating. The offensive line just recently got decent in the last couple of years. And Breeze had a couple of years where he, got the shit knocked out of him. But he's down for 6 weeks. That, the NFC, for the most part, you have your teams at the top of the NFC. I think New Orleans will be fine for the most part. It'll be the question will be what is going to look like when Breeze gets back, and also how good is the NFC West? Is Seattle and San Francisco as good as their records right now? I know they've played. Seattle hasn't. Seattle's been okay. I think Seattle easily could be 0-2. And that's when Seattle, they were able to get a great nice win over Pittsburgh, 28-26. This was a game that, again, Roethlisberger, forget about, and no other storyline matters, but the fact that Roethlisberger is out for the season. You have Russell Wilson doing what he needed to do. Seattle, again, you'll take the win on the road. That's a game against Seattle that you just sometimes in the NFL, a lot of times that those types of games fall in your lap. Quarterback gets hurt. You gotta take advantage of it. Give Seattle credit. They take advantage of it. 28-26. Pittsburgh season is over. I think Pittsburgh's best course of action they're gonna see, to me, would be to see what you have in Mason Rudolph and go from there. I don't think I watched him at Oklahoma State. There's some nice things. I don't see franchise quarterback, but you might as well. Now's the perfect time to see what you have moving forward. Who knows whether or not Roethlisberger will be on the team next year in terms of just outright. Roethlisberger has been basically flirting with retirement the last 2 or 3 years or what have you. That could have been it. It could not. It's conceivable that could have been the last game of that Ben Roethlisberger's career. And don't be surprised if Roethlisberger retires. Now, I'm not trying to give you a hot take or break any news here, but don't be surprised that is definitely in play with him, especially looking at that team right now with just so many question marks on the opposite end and the defense. It might be time. It could be time to blow the whole thing up. To be honest with you, I just thought about this like right now, like Mike Tomlin, and I'm a Tomlin fan. I know he could do some questionable stuff, but his record is what it is. And you want to say he should have won at least one more Super Bowl, maybe two. Okay, it's fair. But there are a lot of guys who don't have one. There are a lot of guys who definitely haven't led their teams to two Super Bowl appearances. Unfortunately, he's been in the same conference with Bill Belichick. You can. Lenny Wilkins was in the same conference as Phil Jackson, and Pat Riley at times was in. When Phil Jackson with the Bulls, nobody won in the Eastern Conference once they started winning. So sometimes that's how it is in sports. But Emmett and Tomlin would be out of job for about 2 seconds if Pittsburgh did decide to go in a different direction. I'm not saying Tomlin should be fired. I'm just saying that you can be with a franchise. The great Bill Parcells used to say all the time, 10 years is kind of where the rubber meets the road for a head coach in the NFL. So it could just be time to just move on, to just blow the entire thing up. It really could. But we know Pittsburgh is the kings of stability. As a franchise, 3 coaches, 40 plus years, they're not going to make any panic moves. I believe Tomlin does have job security, and I'm not advocating that he should be fired. But Pittsburgh is in a place of they are without question for the first time in a long time. in a long time at a crossroads. Maybe since before Tomlin got hired. They are at an absolute crossroads right now. This season is over. Um, and we'll see we'll see how they play. We'll see we'll see what the rest of the season looks like. They've never been in this position like this before, where they really don't have a chance to compete. Like they don't have a chance right now. So we'll see what happens with that. Kansas City 28, Oakland 10. This game really was about the second quarter as Kansas City turned a 10-0 deficit into a 28-10 rout, before you could just blink your eyes in the second quarter. This offense is like historically good, historically great as far as the talent, the execution, the schemes. There's no defense for Patrick Mahomes. You saw what you saw what New England did to the Rams versus what happened against Kansas City in that playoff game. When you go conference championship to Super Bowl, there was no comparisons. I don't care. You can give Bill Belichick 5 years. He could not stop that offense. He could not. They cannot. No one can stop this offense. There's not a defense in the league that can stop this offense. You're talking about a guy in Patrick Mahomes who is operating at full throttle right now. They have players at all positions as far as their skill positions. The best tight end in football, Tyreek Hill didn't even play. So wait till they get him back. But they have great schemes. Andy Reid, you can knock Andy Reid all you want. All the guy does is win and keep his teams in contention. They are without question a legit Super Bowl contender. This idea that Kansas City is not on New England's level is insane. New England does the one team New England does not want to see in the playoffs is Kansas City. You had gave them the true syrup, gun to their head. They said, hey, the one team that we don't want to play, quiet as kept, would be, and I can guarantee you by far and away of any team in the league, forget about AFC or NFC, it will be Kansas City. So I know the defense isn't great. They should be a contender for Jalen Rams. We'll talk about that. So Kansas City, absolutely without question, should be a contender for the Jalen Ramsey sweepstakes. But that team is scary. That offense is like it is Golden State Warrior like with Kevin Durant. It's Golden State Warrior like they can turn it on before you blink. They can put up 21 points within a matter of minutes. It does not take long. And I'm telling you right now, they have taken their foot off the throttle in these first two games. They could be putting up. They could easily put 50 on the Raiders. They really took that. Andy Reid is a class act. He's we know he doesn't believe in run up scores, things like that, things of that nature. Man, like I'm telling you right now, Belichick had that offense. Belichick had Mahomes. Belichick they'd be averaging like 60. Because Belichick would just try to just kill everybody, destroy everybody. I mean, he really would. If he had Patrick Mahomes operating the way he's operating with that offense, the way it is, they would score 40 or 50 every single game. Andy Reid, class act, nice, seemingly from the outside in, nice guy. They are leaving a lot of points on the field because they've taken their foot off the gas. In both these first two games, they could have cracked 50 points easily. Easily. I mean, Mahomes had 300 yards at halftime of last week. And again, that passing, those two records are going to fall in terms of quarterbacking. The touchdown record and the yards record are going to fall this year. But Mahomes stays healthy. He's breaking both those records easily. He's breaking both of those records because there's no defending his offense. It's just impossible. They have too many weapons, too many. So they are scary good. Again, it is a toss-up between them and New England. I don't care about Antonio Brown. It is an absolute toss-up between Kansas City and New England, without question. Dallas, Washington, 31-21. This game was nowhere near as close as the score would have told you, Dallas dominated this game from the second quarter on. Washington jumped out 7-0. Dallas was kind of sloppy in the first quarter. Dak had had an interception on the ball that was thrown behind the receiver. But after that, Dak was rolling. I think he only had like 4 incompletions. He was like 26 to 30. Dallas just completely ran over Washington, had a well over 461 yards of total offense. Washington did not crack 300 yards. This is the biggest problem with Washington right now. They cannot run the football. They have 75 total rushing yards in 2 games. 75. Even in 2019 NFL, you can't function that way. I don't care. I don't care how many passes are getting thrown. I don't care who's your quarterback. I don't care what your philosophy is. You have to run the football. I mean, you have to have a semblance of a running game. And especially when you have Case Keenum under center, and especially when you are supposedly built around an offensive line. Now, again, the elephant in the Washington locker room, excuse me, of course, is Trent Williams. I think at this point they should trade Trent Williams, just so it's just no longer a distraction. And at least you can get, I feel like you can get at least 75 to 80 cents on the dollar for Trent Williams at this point. He is still a highly regarded player in this league. New England, there was talks that New England was going to give up a first-round pick to get him. And I believe that you could still possibly get a first-round pick. You're talking about a guy, left tackle, who is probably going to the Hall of Fame, and still highly regarded in this league. He's still well respected. He is not coming back to the Washington football team. I don't think he ever will play again in that uniform. So, to me, I would trade him right now, just so that you can, get the first round, get the extra draft pick. You have 2 high first round picks next year. As far as you possibly have 2 top 10 picks, possibly, depending on the team, or whatever. You have 2 first round. I don't care if the pick is in the 20s. Washington should be, trying to accumulate as many assets as possible. He is not going to play for that team again. Excuse me, I don't see him coming back. He's going this far. Trent Williams is a smart guy. He's made a ton of money. This guy's made a ton of money over the course of his career. He's gotten paid a lot of money. You see a lot of these guys in the NFL who are retiring early. They're just smarter with their money. I mean, these guys are smarter. It's not 5 years ago. It's not 10 years ago. These guys are absolutely smarter with their money as far as investing, saving it, so which is allowing them to walk away while they can still actually walk away. But again, this game was a foregone conclusion. I'm not jumping on the Dallas Cowboy bandwagon as the team to beat in the NFC, or as a team that can get to the Super Bowl. I'm going to slow the brakes on that, because as good as they've looked, they've played 2 teams that again have no chance of making the playoffs. 0 chance. They played the bottom feeders of the division. I think Dallas is a playoff team. I think Dallas probably will make the playoffs. I still would take Philadelphia over Dallas, to be honest with you, in terms of coaching, culture, a healthy Carson Wentz, and just the fact that Dallas doesn't have a history of doing anything when it matters. So they still have to overcome, those skeletons. But the offense has been clicking at a high level. The defense has done enough against 2 offenses. Again, the Giant offense, the Washington offense are mediocre offenses, to be honest with you. They're absolutely mediocre offenses. So I just pump the brakes on Dallas. Let me see them against a playoff caliber team before you get excited and want to put them in the Super Bowl. 2 teams, San Francisco and Buffalo, are interesting right now. They're both 2-0. They both start their seasons on the road with back-to-back wins. I have more faith in San Francisco than I do Buffalo, mainly because, 2 reasons. One, Buffalo is still, the little stepbrothers, a little little miniature brothers to New England. They're still in the division of New England, so that they're not winning that division. And San Francisco has a legit franchise quarterback and a legit defense. Both of them have good defense. San Francisco defense is legit. The NFC West, all of a sudden, you have three teams that are 2-0. I want to see more about San. I want to see more of San Francisco. Again, you go to. I don't care who you play. You start out your season 2-0 on the road. It's very difficult. Does not happen that often, and you're not giving those wins back. So I give San Francisco credit and Buffalo credit from that standpoint. San Francisco's defense has been pretty. Again, they've played two opponents that they should handle defensively, and but again, I gotta give them credit for Cincinnati. Like Cincinnati, can Dalton put up some numbers against Cincinnati? Put up numbers against Seattle. San Francisco completely shut down Dalton and Cincinnati in Cincinnati. So I'm not going to knock them for beating a bad team. Again, when you're trying to reestablish your culture, um, they'll take any win. And that's a team that's coming off a season where again lost their quarterback for the season. They've accumulated a number of draft picks over the last 3 or 4 and 5 years. That talent is starting to come out. We'll see. We'll see about the 49ers. I'm just hold the brakes. Green Bay takes out Minnesota 21-16, a game where it was basically a tale of two halves. Green Bay came out like a house on fire in the first quarter, 21-0, and then held on for dear life and won 21-16. Green Bay's defense, again, I'm not making them the 85 Bears. It is definitely, without question, is much improved. There's still some things about the offense that I don't like, that I'm not feeling right now, though Minnesota is a very good defense. So they have faced two upper echelon defenses. So I will say that. Rodgers has not thrown a pick this year. He does not. He just not turn a guy that guy just does not turn over the ball. So he still has that going for him. And all right now, listen, all is right in the world of Lambeau and Green Bay, Wisconsin. They're 2-0. They have two divisional wins against two teams that are their rivals in Chicago and Minnesota. But right now, if you're Green Bay, you are exactly where you want to be, on top of the division, quarterback healthy and an improved defense. Now again, we'll see if there are going to be times where the defense is going to struggle. Somebody's going to put 30 on one week. In a couple of weeks, we'll see if their offense can carry them to a couple wins. And I don't care how good your defense is, there are going to be some games where the offense is going to put up 30. Can the Green Bay offense get to that level? We'll see about that. But right now, you have to be impressed. So far, so good for the Green Bay Packers as they try to get back to the playoffs with of course the great Aaron Rodgers. So there you go with the NFL. The game last night, I mean, forget, like, if the Cleveland can't beat a depleted Jets, then they just they could just, the season would have been over like that. So I don't take anything out of that. Philly Atlanta was a solid game. It wasn't a great game. 5 interceptions between the two quarterbacks. Julio Jones is Julio Jones. The guy, $64 million. Certainly, I'm sure he has an extra pep in his step. Wentz did not play well at all. Matt Ryan didn't play well. So neither quarterback was great. But those are still two teams that will be a factor in the NFC. And those are two teams that, if you're the Rams, if you're atop the NFC, those are two teams that you don't want to see in the playoffs. Those are two veteran teams. Those are two teams. Philadelphia knows how to win. Atlanta still has a lot of great talent at certain positions. So, even though I would say I would give a slight edge to the Rams, big picture over Philadelphia and Atlanta. Those are two teams that will be definitely in the mix for compete for their respective divisions and in the mix to make the playoffs. So overall, I thought it was a pretty good week. Week 2 for the NFL. Again, the big news, the big story is the quarterbacking situation and the change. We're close to being a new day a new era of quarterbacking in the NFL. A basically a no a nothing week in college football. I mean, you could have just not watched college football and not missed anything. Shout out to Temple for taking out Maryland. We knew Maryland as soon as they had a little prosperity and was ranked was gonna lose. I mean, so you could see that coming. But again, Temple handles their business 2017 over Maryland. This week is a big week for college football. Notre Dame travels to Georgia, Athens. Um, Georgia is ranked third. Notre Dame is seventh. You have LSU and Texas A&M. Texas A&M. That's a top 15 matchup. You have also, yeah, those are the two. Michigan, Wisconsin. It's a top. Even though I haven't been impressed with Michigan at all, we'll see what Wisconsin is made of. They haven't played anybody as of yet in these first couple games, so they get their first live look at a legit top 15, top 20 team. Now, maybe Michigan's not even top 20, but they are ranked. So, but they haven't been impressive at all the first 2 weeks of the season. So you'll get your first major week of college football in terms of multiple matchups, multiple big time matchups. So in regards to power, episode 4, I would say power is back to being respectability. Now, again, I have a certain ceiling of expectation with power. They'll never compare to The Wire and shows like that. But the last 2 episodes have been somewhat intriguing. 50 Cent directed the last episode 3, had a lot of action, some not plot twists, but some storylines that somewhat pique your interest. This episode was a lot going on, to a point to where I think they have too many storylines in it. I don't know where they're going with the Maria Suarez. Well, we know. I mean, Ghost is probably going to kill her, but to me, they've kind of wasted time in terms of teasing that storyline, basically since the end of season 4. It was almost like nothing in terms of season 5. They barely used her in season 5, so all of a sudden Ghost. I find it funny with Ghost and Tasha that Tasha, who once she found out Ghost was cheating on her, it basically was a free fall for any dude to just go after Tasha and one night stand Tasha. Basically, I like now Tasha has morals. I don't know. I kind of a contradiction as far as the character goes. As far as anything, like now would be the time for Tasha to be thought now here. But now Tasha's wholesome now, and Ghost, who has killed any 30, 40, 50, 30 or 40, 50 people. Now, is talking to the ghost of Anne, talking to Angela, and now wants to be a better person. This is, by the way, in the same episode, that he again failed to kill Tommy, which this is where people who criticize power will have fun. Ghost drives the truck, hits his truck square on into an ambulance, gets out the truck, no harm, perfectly fine. Takes about 6 shots up close and doesn't even wound. No, forget about let alone killing anybody. Doesn't even remotely come close to hitting anybody. So, but again, that's what you gotta love about it. You have to love the entertainment aspect of the power. It does keep you entertained. Proctor breaks bad. Again, I saw that coming from weeks ago. There was no way that Proctor's ex crackhead wife was going to outwit him. That just wasn't going to happen. So that wasn't a surprise whatsoever. So you got a couple things going on. Tyreek. Tyreek is finally gets a taste of what trying to be a kingpin is like. Now he's being used by Tommy's peoples, or formerly Tommy's father's peoples, as far as the mob. So we'll see what they do. We'll see what they do with that. But the whole Ghost versus Tommy thing it's not working. It's just not. You cannot sell me. I'm just not buying Ghost versus Tommy. I'm just not. Again, this is a change from the beginning of the season where I was like, okay, let's see how it works out. Season 3, they really didn't want to kill each other, or Ghost never wanted to kill Tommy, but Tommy, was was getting second thoughts about trying to kill Ghost and really didn't want to do it, and ended up, taking out Holly because he thought that she killed Ghost. Or he thought that he thought that she had the hit out on Ghost. So he actually did that he thought that Ghost was dead. But I'm not. I just can't buy the Ghost versus Tommy. I just can't. It's just not. It's not working for me right this season at all, at all. So we'll see what happens with Dre. Dre actually added juice to the show in episode 3. I'll be honest with you. This show, the first 2 episodes were horrible. Dre's character, Dre does so much scheming and double crossing, and you kind of lose track of at who's Dre, you know, who Dre is actually for. I mean, we know he's about himself, but he's trying, Dre's trying to set up everybody at the same time. So that's actually somewhat entertaining to watch. This new dude with Tasha, I don't know what his angle is. He could just be a creep. I don't think he's the feds. Like I'm not sure, and I don't think they have enough time to kind of have this secret dude come out of nowhere and be some long lost brother of an old character that got killed, like Ray Ray or somebody like that. I don't think they just have enough storyline, enough time. But he was very creepy dude. I don't know. I don't know what they're gonna do with him. I'll be honest with you. I don't know what his role is gonna be in this with this situation. The thing to watch out for is what are they gonna do with Simon Stern and Councilman Tate. So Councilman Tate, who this whole dynamic where he's sleeping with the wife of his campaign manager. Like, where are they gonna go with that direction? But listen, after the first 2 episodes, if you were off it, I couldn't blame you if you hadn't been following it for the first five seasons. The last 2 episodes have kind of stabilized the ship. Now we'll see what they do in episode 5. It's called King's Gambit. I didn't have a problem with the Angela flashback, not flashbacks, but with the Angela. If that's his way of that is his way of grieving, then so be it. So there you go with Power. Snowfall. I didn't get a chance to talk about Snowfall. Didn't do a podcast this weekend, but the season finale of Snowfall last week was brilliant. And again, those of you who are going to complain that you didn't get this Knots Landing, this Dallas Who Shot JR. That's the beauty of the show. The show is patient. This show is artistic. This show is very tricky doing a season finale because what you have to do is not only do you have to close out a season, but you also have to drop some stuff that you also have to lead into the next season. So that's always tricky with a season finale, wrapping it up for a season finale. I thought they did a brilliant job of just showing what could have happened in the systemic racism with Franklin. Should have went to college, the money, and then last 30 minutes he actually got shot. And now he's back. He's in the game, but not all the way in the game. And now we'll see what he. I think he'll fully grow. He'll fully become just a straight up kingpin, Michael Corleone like. I feel next season. I feel that's coming. So I had no problem with how they wrapped it up, how they broke it apart in basically 2 episodes into one. Again, this show is not about trying to get you to watch every single scene as if something crazy is going to happen. The show is a oven show. It's not a microwave show. They actually let storylines develop. They let plots, things like that develop over the course of time. There's nothing rushed about the show. That's what I love about the show. So without giving too much away, I've already given enough. I'm looking forward to season 4. Now we'll see what happens with no John Singleton. We'll see what happens with that. And again, that was a nice tribute they gave him, showing a young filmmaker shooting film or trying to make movies. That was clearly a tribute and an ode to the late and great John Singleton. Again, I think Snowfall is the best show on television right now. I really do. I think it's to me the best show on television. without question. So I strongly recommend it. Now it's over. Season 3 is in the books. Now it's time. It'll be time to binge and catch up on it. That's going to wrap it up for this latest edition of the Real Deal podcast. We got through with no fire alarms, nothing to stop the podcast. As always, this is the Real Deal podcast. You can catch me anytime on YouTube, on my YouTube. Go to my YouTube page, subscribe to my YouTube channel, Real Deal Podcast. This is the Real Deal Podcast. Telling you like it is with no apologies. Thanks for listening. I'm out.